Hey, in this video, I'll be showing how to rig wings so you're able to animate them inside of Studio and put them on your character or an NPC. Alright, so you're going to get your wings. In my case, that's the model I'm going to rig. If your wings are made of multiple parts, just make sure to group them as a model. Now you see that in my case, the pivot point of the wings is not really in the middle, and that's something I need to fix. This is going to be crucial when you export it in the Blender, or else it's going to appear very far away from the middle, and that's not what you want. Just like in this example, you want it to be here in the middle, right? Not over there. You don't really need to, but it's a good habit. So all you have to do is just go model, click on pivot here, and then you just modify the pivot to put it in the middle. You can do it manually, or you can just modify the properties directly. So you just go into properties, okay, and you go into pivot, right? And you can just modify the orientation so it's not weird, like as it was for me in the beginning. So you just rotate it into 90 degrees, or like the angle that fits the best. It really depends on the model that you have, but in my case, that's the orientation I would get. Once you're satisfied on where the pivot point is, try to place the pivot points the most near from the center as possible. You see, in my case, that's like the nearest I can do. Get out of pivot and select your model. Then you're going to go into transform, and for the origin position, we're going to put 0 in all the axes. Now your model is in the middle of the base plates. What we're going to do now is export the model. If you have multiple parts, I suggest you just export it as one single unit, because rigging is going to be super tricky and difficult if you decide to export it into different parts. Okay, so just select everything, right click, save and export, export selection, then you save into your files. It's supposed to be an OBJ file, a wing model. All right, you save, then you go into Blender. Right, so just delete this cube, just right click and delete it. So to move around, just press shift and middle click, right? It's kind of different from Roblox. Then what you're gonna do, you're gonna go into file, import, wavefront, OBJ legacy, then import your wings or your whatever model you have. Normally, it should import right in the middle as we expected. To have a better view of it, just press 1. Now select your model. Okay, go into edit mode. Okay, press Z, go into wireframe, and you have to toggle X-ray. So it's just gonna make your life easier. I'm gonna remove the right wing, okay, because we're not gonna need it for the bones. We're just gonna rig one wing. You're gonna understand after, because I'm gonna do the bones in this side, and then I'm just gonna mirror this side to the other side. Since it's an identical model from both sides, it just needs to be mirrored. We'll be right click, delete verticals, and just make sure to delete everything. Now go back into object mode, solid mode. My goal now is to add bones to this structure, so when exporting it, to be able to deform it the way I want. And at the end, we want Roblox to recognize this structure as a skinned mesh. It's kind of different as a mesh part. A skinned mesh is a mesh part that has bones and is actually deformable not only in Blender, but also in Roblox Studio. Now, just listen carefully to the steps, okay? Because if one step is skipped or done in the wrong order, it can kind of mess up the structure. What we do not want is we do all this, then we export it to Roblox, and it doesn't work. Stay in object mode, select your structure. First of all, we're going to apply transforms. So you're going to press Ctrl A and press all transforms. Applying transforms basically resets the object's numbers to clean values. It's going to put the rotation and location at 0 on all axes. Scale is going to be 1 on all axes. The model stays the same, but doing that is just to help Blender fix the math behind it, so rigging doesn't bug out. Next up, we're going to add the armature. So I'm going to add the bones. So you press Shift A and you select armature. It's going to add a bone. You just select it, go into edit mode, and just move it to the place you want it to be. The first part is going to be like the root of the wings. You see how I want to place the bones inside of the wings, but I'm not able to see through it. So you just go here on the top right, and you toggle X-ray. Just click on it and then you're going to be able to see what you're doing. Now you're going to scale the bone and rotate it so it follows the orientation of the wing. You want all the bones to be located exactly inside of the structure that you're rigging. Once you're done doing the first bone, stay in edit mode and select the tip of the bone and press E to extrude. That's going to create another bone and it's going to become a child of the initial bone. When you're doing wings, you want to have the less bones possible. It's more a question of weight painting. You're going to see later in the process. The more bones you have and your structure is kind of complex like mine, the more chances that you're going to end up with some parts of your structure not deforming properly. In my case, I just need 3 bones and I'm good with it. Once you're done placing all your bones, stay in edit mode, okay? Press just one bone, then press A to select all of the bones. And then you're going to go here in the bone properties and you're going to enable deform. If it was disabled, just enable it. What deform does is it's going to allow the bones to bend the mesh. Now you're going to go back into object mode. You're going to click the wing mesh, then press shift and click the armature. Then you're going to press Ctrl P and you're going to select with automatic weights. This is going to parent the armature to the mesh. So the mesh is going to become the child of the armature. That basically attaches the skin, which is the mesh, to the skeleton, which is the armature. So weights can deform it correctly when you animate it. After selecting the automatic weights, you're going to have this pop-up. Just make sure to check keep transform. This is just to keep your mesh exactly where it already is. It prevents the mesh from moving when the parenting happens. Now you're going to go into pose mode and you're going to rotate the bones to see if it deforms the mesh. You can see in my case, it doesn't work. And that happens when automatic weights didn't work. What automatic weights usually does is that it automatically assigns bone influence to a mesh by creating vertex groups for each bone, and it calculates the weight values for the vertices based on proximity. By the way, vertex groups are basically how Blender keeps track of which part of your mesh belongs to which bone. You see in edit mode how the mesh is actually composed of vertices and dots. A vertex group is like a list of those dots. So it's like a group of those dots selected, and Blender saves it under a name, which should be the bone that controls it. Sometimes it fails because Blender is like basically guessing how the mesh should follow the bones, and it actually depends on how much your mesh is clean. So I guess in my case, the wings probably have a bad geometry, so Blender is kind of confused. Don't worry about it. We can always like do it manually. What you do, super simple. You just select the bones. You hold shift and select the mesh. Now you're going to go into weight paint. Just toggle X-ray. To select a bone, you hold control and you select your bone. Then you go here, top left, and you click on add. Okay, that's going to add weights. And you see how it's blue? Blue means that there's no influence, okay? The more hot the color is, the more influence the bone has on the vertex group. So this bone, basically, it has 100% influence on this part, and like has 0% influence in this part, right? And that's what I want. But notice how I'm painting on one side. I want it to be the same on the other side, right? And you see like how it's kind of messed up. It's not the same intensity on the other side. So just go top right, then you go into tool. By the way, if you want to make the tool settings appear, just press N. Okay, press N, it's going to make it appear. You go into advanced, and front faces only should be disabled. When it's on, Blender only paints what your camera sees, so it does not paint on the other side. Also, what you're going to do is that you're going to go into options and you're going to enable auto normalize. What it does is that it makes sure that your weights stay balanced while you paint. So like when you paint more weight onto one bone on a certain area, Blender will automatically reduce the weight from the other bone, so the total weight influence stay balanced. Now I'll finish up drawing the areas I want each bones to deform. You see here on this bone, there's kind of a light bluish influence here. When you go select on the other bone, you see how like it's more hot on this side, and it seems like as if everything is balanced out properly. Let's say I draw here, right? It's super, super hot here. I go on the other bone, it's going to be cold here. So this bone, it's going to have the influence that it's supposed to have here, and this bone's influence is going to decrease because we do not want two bones having the same weight influence on the same area. One last thing, go in weights and select normalize all. What normalize all does is that it cleans up your weights. So every vertex has a proper total amount of influence from the bones. So it's just like another math thing to make sure that nothing bugs out, and also make sure to disable lock active. When lock active is off, the weights are properly balanced across all bones. So it's a good thing to do for like a final cleanup. Once you're satisfied with your weight, you go back into object mode, you select the mesh first, press shift, select the bones, and then you go into pose mode, and then you try to rotate your bones just to see like if it deforms properly. In my case, there's some places that doesn't look good when deformed, but I actually don't care because I'll add like some particles, some effects. So like when the player moves the wings, it actually doesn't show that there's some weird deformations. In your case, if you would want to like spend more time fixing those imperfections, feel free to do so. I just don't want to spend hours doing so because, you know, like it can be time consuming doing weight painting. Just don't forget to check on every axis that you're going to plan on animating, just to see if everything is fine. You know, like in my case, bro, I don't really care. Like this looks fine to me, bro. I'm satisfied with it. Once you're done playing around, and you see that everything is fine, press Ctrl Z till you remove all the deformations. Just go back into object mode, and now we're going to export it. Select the wing mesh, and also shift select the armature. Then you go to File, Export, FBX. In the settings, you're going to check selected objects. For object types, just select armature and mesh. So you select mesh and hold shift, press armature, then go to armature. And you're going to turn off add leaf bones, and you're going to turn on only deform bones. Only deform bones, we enable it because it's going to export only the real bones that are meant to bend the mesh. So the ones that actually deforms the wings. Why we turn off the leaf bones? Because sometimes Blender adds an extra bone at the end of every bone, and it's called leaf bones. And so like we don't want to import extra random bones that we didn't make. So we just turn it off. And now you're good to go. Press export FBX. Now go into Roblox Studio. Keep your Blender file open, okay? Because we're going to go back to it after. Press import 3D. Select your file. Once this pop-up appear, make sure to keep 0 influence bones. So Roblox doesn't delete bones that have like little or no weights. And click on anchored. Now import. You're going to notice your mesh is going to be super big, but don't mind. Just resize it. Then what you do is that you go into the animation editor. You should see bones. When you select the bones, it should deform the same way as it was deforming in Blender. Notice how for my wings, I can kind of see through the feathers. To fix that, super simple. Just go and select your mesh part, go into properties and enable double-sided. Now it looks better. It's like gonna add faces on both sides of the mesh, on the exterior and on the interior. Let me just change the material to smooth plastic, white. Now, if everything is fine with the bones, you see it deforms. I'll make a simple animation. It's just to show you guys like how to export properly and make it play at runtime. And by the way, if you select your mesh and you cannot see all the bones in the animation editor, so you see how here I have 3 bones, but here I only have 2 bones. It's just because I selected only those 2. I didn't touch this one. If you just like want to see it, you want to make it visible, just press on the plus icon here. Then you press on add all body. You're gonna be able to see the tracks of every bone. You can also press loop if you want it to loop. In my case, I'll toggle the loop. Now that you're done with your animation, press on the 3 dots here. Then you publish the Roblox. Give it a name and save it. Copy the animation ID. Then what you do is that you're going to go inside of your model. Okay, add an animation. And paste your animation ID. You see inside of your model, you have what is called animation controller. If you want your animation to run during runtime, so when you play the game, you need to have an animator inside of that. The difference between the two is that Animator is the engine that makes animation play, but Animation Controller is required to allow animations to play during runtime. Animation Controller is basically the replacement of humanoid for non-character rigs. As you can see, this is a non-character. It doesn't have a humanoid. So it tells Roblox that this model is allowed to be animated. So without the animation controller, the wing model will not be able to animate itself during runtime. Now, to play the animation, you need Animator, which is what we use in scripts to load animation because it returns the animation track, which is this. and then you're going to be able to play with the parameters of the animation so you can handle the speed or like the priority, you know. Animator can live inside of either a humanoid or an animation controller for non-humanoid rigs, just like my wing. By the way, if you were asking yourself what in the world is initial poses, it's the starting position of all the bones. So when an animation plays, the bones move relative to the initial pose. So think of initial poses as a reference point for every animation that you do with this model. You should keep it to avoid any sort of animation bug during runtime, and it doesn't even cost memory when you play the game. Now I'm going to script this wing to see if everything is fine when animating it in game. Then if everything is fine, I'll make the other wing. I'll be showing how to do it properly. How I'll set this up is that you need to click a button to play the animation. First of all, insert a part and then add a click detector instead of it. Just rename it, call it a, I don't know, like click button, I don't know, whatever. Instead of the part, add a click detector. Then when I'm in game, I'm able to click this part and it's going to play the animation. And then the wings, just call it something else. Like the name doesn't matter, honestly, bro. This is just like for your testing purposes. So yeah, go in service script service, okay? Or if you want, you can place the script inside of your model, okay? It doesn't matter where you put it. You just want a service script, okay? Me, I'll put it inside of our service script service. Feel free like to just do the same as I'm doing. So I'll call it wing animation. You can skip this part if you don't care about scripting. So it's a simple script. You reference the wing model, the click detector. You tell the script where is the animation in the workspace. You reference the animation controller and the animator. Then you load the animation. Then when I click on the button, it's supposed to play the animation. So now if I test here, and I click on the button here, you see it plays the animation. You see how it works. Everything is nice. It's how I wanted it to be. Now that I know that this rig is animatable, everything works, I'll make the other side of the wing. Go and open up Blender again. Now we need to replicate the armature, the structure of the wing, and the weights that the bones are applying to the wing. All of that on the other side. Before we start doing anything, I'll just check if the origin point is okay. So I'll go into options and I'll enable origins. Then I'll be able to see the axis of my origin point. You want your origin point to look exactly like mine. If it doesn't, then rotate it till it looks like mine. To fix it more easily, you can change the properties directly into object properties. What you want is that you want it to be aligned on the x-axis. It's going to be important so we can symmetrize the whole structure properly. Once you're done, you can disable origins. So first of all, select the bones, go into edit mode, press A to select all the bones, go into armature, now go in names and select auto name left right. As you can see here, the names of the bones changed. There is a .r that was added, so that signifies right. It's to make it so Blender knows which bones are in the right and which bones are located in the left. Then what you're going to do, you're going to go back in armature and you're going to select symmetrize. And you notice here, they are all named with point L. That means that Blender knows that those bones are located in the left. And that's exactly what I want. Then go back into object mode, select the right wing, go into modifiers, add modifier, then select mirror. Make sure that vertex groups are turned on. Also make sure that mirror is above armature modifier. This makes the mirrored half of the wing automatically get weights flipped. So the left wing is going to respond to the left bones. Now, if you go into pose mode, you select your wing and the bones in that order. And you go and select the left bones and it's not deforming the left wing as you want it to deform. That's a super common problem. I'll try to explain like why it does it. Select the bones and then select your mesh. Go into weight paid. When you select the right bones, you see how it has the same influence on the right than on the left. So that's exactly what we want. So we want those left bones to have the same influence as the right bones have on the specific zones of the right wing. But the thing is that this bone is actually controlling this part of the left wing, and we don't want that. We don't want the right bones to have an influence on the left wing. We want the left bones to have an influence on the left wing, but on the same zones that the right bones have an influence on the right wing. So right now you can see that the left bones don't have any influence whatsoever. And it's just because the weights of the left wing are still stuck under the group of the right bones. So go here into data, the green triangle, and then you're going to notice here vertex groups. We only have the right bones. We don't have the left bones, but that's pretty self-explanatory. What you're going to do is that you're going to duplicate each vertex group. So you go here on this arrow, then you click on copy vertex group. You do it for each. And now you just rename them. You replace the R with the L to tell Blender that this is the left and not the right. Those left groups that we just created, they have weight, okay? Because they are copies of the right bones that works already. So we're going to go into weight paint. And normally you should see that the left bones have the influence on the left wing, but it's like the bones have influence on both sides, and that's not what we want. We want the left bones to only affect the left side and not the right side. Go in object mode, select the wings. Now go in edit mode, click the left bones. Now press select, and then you're gonna click remove. So this removes the left bones weight influence from those vertices, and you do the same for the rest of the left bones. You're gonna press select, then press remove, then also press select and then remove. Then once you're done, go back into weight paint, select your bones, your wings. You're going to go into weight paint and you're going to see that now it's fixed. All the bones have the weight that we want them to have. I'm going to go back into pose mode. So select the wing, select the bones, go into pose mode, and you see now it's having the right influence on the right parts. That's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Let's press Ctrl Z, go back to the initial pose, go back into object mode. And so now we're going to export only this part. Okay, we don't care about this part. We already have it. I'm going to export this part. Select the wing mesh, go into modifiers. Now in mirror, pressing this down arrow here, and you're going to select apply. So now the left wing has become real geometry, and you will now be able to select it in edit mode. You see now it's real geometry, so I can actually select it, not like before where I couldn't select it and it wasn't real geometry. Now what you need to do is delete this right wing. So just select all the right wing and press delete vertices, and go back into object mode, select the bones, and delete the right bones. And now you're left with only the left wing. That's only what we wanted. We're going to pose mode, just see that everything is fine before exporting. Okay, so everything is fine. Perfect. Select your wing and shift select the armature. You're going to go into File, Export FBX, turn on selected objects. For object types, just select Mesh and Armature. Then go in Armature, disable Add Leaf Bones, enable only Deform Bones, and then export. Now you go into Studio, import 3D, keep Zero Influence Bones, anchor it, import. Something you can do to resize it exactly as the other wing, you just select the wing and you go into Scale, and you copy the same number of the scale to the other wing, and so they will be the same size as I said. So I'm gonna turn on double-sided. I'm gonna change the color. Now I'm gonna go in the animation editor and see like if it animates. And normally everything should be fine, like the other wing. Now that I'm done with the animation, I'm gonna just like export it, save it. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other wing. So you create an animation and you put the animation ID of your animation inside. Don't forget to add an animator if there's not an animator. And now I'm gonna go back into the script. I'm gonna add the other wings animation. Once the script is done, I'm gonna go and test this out in game, see if everything is fine. So I press the button and both anim plays. Yes, sir. So now, bro, you rigged the wings correctly. I know that your goal is to put these wings on an NPC or like on a character, so like the character can fly with the wings. So I made a separate video on that. Link is in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to tell me in the comments and I'll be glad to help you, or join my Discord server and I'll be glad to help you there. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys succeed in anything that you want to do in life. And yeah, take care. Bye.